What's up, everybody? Welcome to BioS3 Raw TV. So let's fix this. Fix my mustache first before we fix this camera angle. Make that shit square. Alright, make that shit square. So today we're going to talk about something that, again, this is something that I have preached for years. This is something that isn't just backed up by science, but it's something that I think a lot of people in bodybuilding, I should say the fitness industry, I should say like, actually my shoulder's still not square with that. Maybe make that shit square. There we go. I think that a lot of people don't understand this because they are afraid to work hard. I mean, that's just all there is to it. People seem to think when they're in the gym, if they do a lot of volume, they're working hard. And I'm like, look, let's be real. If you go in the gym and you're doing 25 sets for chest, how hard are you training? Plain and simple. There's no fucking way you're doing 25 sets for chest and you're going to go out and do 15 sets for triceps or whatever the case may be, and you're doing abs. Like, there's no fucking way that those sets are being productive. Now, I think that a lot of people don't understand also that muscle growth isn't just about how much you do in the gym. Most people, when they want to bring up a body part, the first thing they do is like, well, I'm going to train it 3 times a week now. Like, they think increasing the volume is going to give them better gains, or the more they do, the better results they're going to get. Now, that's not necessarily true. Now, depends on what you consider more. More volume, more intensity, and more effort. More is relative depending on what you're talking about in this situation. Now, I want to go through this stuff because it's frustrating that people don't listen. Like, the things that I've said, people don't listen. And it comes out years later where people go, aha, and they have like the aha moment. And they go, blah, 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 and they talk about what's going on. And I'm like, that's what I said. Like, I tried to help you guys years ago by telling you this. And now you're coming around to get it because you tried what I was telling you not to do and failed. So now you're like, well, I need to go back. Something has to work. And what you do is go back and try the opposite thing, which is what I was saying. And next thing you know, oh, better results. Oh, there's a study that came out that was published. Oh my God, this is how it's done. And I'm like, no shit, Sherlock. You guys are fucking killing me. So anyways, in 2020, February 11, 2020, right before we got smacked with the lockdowns and the pandemic, there was a general meta-analysis that was considered to be the most reliable source of evidence that they had for this topic. Okay? They said, returning to the Sheffield meta-analysis, they found that muscle growth was similar. This was published on PubMed.gov. Between high loads of 5 to 12 reps and low loads of 12 to 40 reps when, very important, reps were taken to failure. All the meta-analysis where people say, well, if you can't train that heavy, just get in the volume. The missing piece to that entire thing that none of you were talking about, just do volume, just do volume. It was like a fucking broken record for like 5 years. Just do volume. Instead of doing like 10 sets, just do like 30 sets and just do volume. Get it in with the volume. Taken to failure. You fucking knuckleheads missed that entire piece of that entire scientific study. Taken to failure. None of you are taking shit to failure because it is fucking brutal to take sets to failure. So those of you out there doing your whatever the fuck volume training that you're doing, I understand that like shit gets fucking skewed in many ways with all of this stuff. But the bottom line is, if you train, exactly what I fucking said, if you train to failure, you will get faster muscle gains and you will get faster fat loss, because training to failure not only is a stimulus for building muscle, but it stimulates the metabolism in a different way that speeds your metabolism up, not just to build muscle, but burning fat as well over a 24-hour period. It changes your BMR. This stuff kills me, right? So, one of the most widely recognized mechanisms for controlling muscle mass involves mechanical tension. Evidence for this mechanism comes from numerous in vitro studies which have shown that placing a chronic mechanical load on skeletal muscles results in increased mass, while chronic mechanical overloading results in decrease in mass. Okay, think about what that means. So you're increasing the load on the muscles, right? So I'm just going to throw this in kind of a way to understand it as much like sets, doing it in sets, right? So if you do 3 sets compared to 20 sets, 3 sets, you'll be able to increase the load to where you can get your body to respond. 20, 30 sets, or whatever the case may be volume-wise, although it may not be as intense, can decrease the rate at which your body builds muscle. Now, let's get into, they talk about rep ranges too. They talk about 12 reps, right? This study came out 1975. So for people not to know this stuff, and I've been preaching this shit for years and people just don't want to hear it. It's been proven that you can do 1 set per week, if taken to failure or even beyond failure, can produce muscle gains. So why is it that we have people doing these 30, 40 set workouts thinking these marathon workouts take 2 hours? drinking their pre-workout, taking their intro workouts or whatever, and they're not gaining muscle. Why is that? So check it out. Now, many trainers, coaches, etc., I think they understand different muscle fibers. They understand that there are different muscle fibers, but how those different muscle fibers are activated and how the muscle building process really, I don't want to say is dictated by those fibers, but how those fibers can really help out how fast you build muscle. Bear with me. So we have a lot of people out there that are trying to build muscle by using, very low reps, powerlifting type style routines. And we've seen this for a while now. It's been 4 or 5 years that this has been very popular for new bodybuilders, right? They're really pushing the powerlifting thing. And they get gains. They get gains a lot slower than they could, but they get gains. Because if they actually started training in a rep range, 10 to 12 reps, right? That's considered the hypertrophy range. Why is that considered the hypertrophy range? Do you think we just pulled that out of our ass? It was just like floating in the air one day, like, hey, 10, 12 reps, that's a cool number. Let's take that. No, what happens is you have these different muscle fibers, right? And I like to explain it to people like this that are now new to this. Those of you that are advanced, just bear with me because there might be people watching this that are very new. When you look at a chicken, for instance, right? They have red and white meat, dark and light meat, right? So they have like the chicken breast, which is considered the light meat or the white meat. It's very fat-free. And they have the chicken legs, which have the red meat, right? Or the dark meat. So we have a very similar setup, except our bodies are not really situated where the chicken on the upper body has the white muscle fibers and the red muscle fibers on the lower. So chicken's legs can go like this non-stop, right? They're fucking all over the place. Never stop. Why? A lot of red muscle fibers. Now they can get off the ground, right, with their wings. They're explosive, right? Those muscle fibers are explosive and strong. However, because they don't have any, well, I shouldn't say have any, but they don't have enough red muscle fibers, they can't maintain that flapping of their wings to keep them off the ground. So they can get off the ground, but they fall right back down. So essentially they have like upper body, the white muscle fibers, lower body with the red muscle fibers, right? Our body has those actually, I wouldn't say evenly because different people genetic-wise have different disbursements of those muscle fibers. But we have red and muscle fibers, right? We have type 1, type 2, type 2B muscle fibers, right? And we have the endurance muscle fibers. Now, Jerry, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, muscle's muscle. Well, technically, yes, muscle is muscle, but our muscles are comprised of all those muscle fibers. So here's where people get a little twisted. In order to build the most amount of muscle in the shortest amount of time, the type 2B fibers are the ones that have the most potential for size, right? Now, how do you say, well, I want to work those type 2B fibers? The way that those fibers get enacted or initiated to be used during a set is by going through order. The muscle fibers fire in order. You go through firing the other type of muscle fibers till they get fatigued to the point where the type 2B fibers jump in and start really taking a lot of that workload. And those are the fibers, when they're stimulated, have the most potential for size and strength. Now, where or what rep range do you think those fibers are activated the most in? The 10 to 12 rep range. I would even say maybe, I'd say 8 to 12 rep range. When you start going below those rep ranges, it's not the same type of fibers. When you start going above them, it's not the same type of fibers. Just like that chicken's body, those fibers are responsible for doing different actions and different things that those muscle fibers are supposed to do. Our bodies are the same way, except our bodies activate those within one muscle. It's not separated throughout our body. Every muscle has those in it. And by activating the fibers in order, by what activity we're doing, stimulates and activates those fibers. So now let's back up for a second. What are you saying, Jerry? So I'm trying to tell you in a very fucking more scientific way than I could. If you train in the 10 to 12 rep range and you fail, and I mean legitimately fail with 10 to 12 reps, you will initiate muscle growth a lot faster, a lot better than if you were training in a lower rep range or a higher rep range not going to failure. It will take you a lot longer not training in that hypertrophy range to build muscle. Now, you guys can argue all you want. I don't care. Because I've seen this. I've tried it all. I've done it all. I've had thousands and thousands of clients throughout the years. This is not just words on a screen to me. This is stuff that I've done. And you guys have watched me build my physique doing 3 sets per body part per week. Like, go back, look at my T2G workouts and stuff. There was literally 3 sets. I would do 3 sets for chest, 3 sets of chin-ups, 3 sets of rows, 3 sets. And if you actually go, let's see, there's another study that was done looking at hypertrophy from the standpoint of subjects were doing 32 sets of squats in a week, which is, it's just insane. And they showed basically people that were doing 32 32 sets of squats per week as opposed to 5 sets got less muscle growth than the 5 sets. The 5 sets taken to failure got better muscle growth. The repetitions, maximum loads that all the subjects went to failure on every set, all right, for the 5 sets, they went to failure on every set. The 32 sets, they just did volume, which means they didn't train to failure. I mean, there's so many things that, I mean, these are, it's crazy. It says over a 10-week training period, a low-volume resistance training program of 3 sets per muscle group per week results in a significant increase in muscle size and strength and upper body power in previously trained men. Previously trained men. So this study took previously trained men and did 3 sets per muscle group per week. Over a 10-week training period, a low-volume program of 3 sets per muscle group per week results in increases in muscle mass and function similar to programs with 2 to 4 much times as volume. So what they're saying is somebody that went in and did 3 sets was able to do in 3 sets what other people were doing in 6 to 9 sets. So even 9 sets would be considered low, I think, to most people. 6 sets would be considered absolutely low, and 3 sets is like not enough, right? But these studies in scientific clinical settings have shown that the 3 sets produced just as good results as the 6 and 9 sets. When you get up to the 32 sets, that's when things really started to drop off. So if you're going over 9 sets, if you're saying like 15 sets per body part per week, your performance and muscle mass decreases. They saw a strength increase, they saw a muscle mass increase with 3 sets. Now, I think most people will go, well, Jerry, if 3 is good, 4 is better, right? Not necessarily. Remember now, if you get to the point where that muscle has been fatigued, the tension of the muscle has fatigued the muscle, those type 2B fibers have fired as much as they can without going into the endurance muscle fibers next, that's it. You're done. Get out of the gym and you will grow. If you keep pushing it, you will start activating new fibers, those red muscle fibers, which not only will it take your body longer to recover, but the longer that you push in the gym, the harder that you push with those red muscle fibers, those endurance muscle fibers, it wears down your central nervous system. If your central nervous system wears down to a certain point and can't recover, you will not grow new muscle. So it's not just about the muscle itself. It's about the muscle being taken to a point where it can recover and then grow. And what's optimal, and it does show by scientific methods that between 8 to 12 reps failing is optimal, and more than 3 sets is not needed. Now you can do whatever the fuck you want with this information. You can dig online. This stuff's been up there since 1975. Like I said, and I was born in 75, so 45 years this shit has been online. Well, it's been out there. Now it's online. You guys can study all you want. I encourage you to go in there and jump into this stuff and dig further and get a real deep understanding of it, because it's stuff that I've talked about for years and years and years, and now people are talking about it like it's some kind of new thing. I'm like, no, what you guys have been doing for the last, since 2010 I started this, so the last 11 years, what many of you have been doing is spinning your fucking wheels. And you know it, because you're in no better place now in 2021 than you were in 2010. You either look the same or barely different for the amount of effort and time you've put into it. Now, don't you think that there's got to be a better fucking way? Don't you think there has to be something different that you're not doing? And you're listening to all the fads. You're listening to all the newest, latest research. Well, maybe the older research held the keys. Maybe instead of looking out for the new stuff, you should go back to the beginning and start with the basics. Start with muscle fiber and fiber typing. Start with how different workouts themselves can wear down your central nervous system, how your body has to recover. You don't even understand recovery, most people, let alone muscle growth. You have to recover. Recovery has to take place. You have to recover first before muscle growth can even take place. Like, there's so many little things that you left out, and I always say the devil's in the details. The little things matter, and you fucking laugh at me. You've said I'm crazy. And you've gone 10 or 11 years with this bullshit methods that you see people fucking talking about online, when all the science backs up the shit that I've been talking about. I'm just not the science guy, right? I'm not the science guy talking in big words, etc., so therefore I must be wrong. Well, science says that I'm not wrong again. And science says that if you listen to what I'm saying right now and you follow what the science has said all along, you will get better results faster. Why the fuck wouldn't you want to do that? There's only one reason why you wouldn't take what I'm saying right now, research the hell out of it, and run with it and get better results. And that would be the fact that you don't want to be wrong. Well, I'll tell you what. When you're on the beach with your shirt off, nobody gives a fuck whether you were wrong or right. All they give a fuck is about how you look. So my advice to you is, start worrying about getting your fucking shit in place and getting your body in gear and getting back to where you need to be or where you want to be, and stop worrying so much about your ego and whether or not you were right or wrong or you followed the wrong things for this amount of time. Look, today's a turning point. You can literally take today and start moving forward in a different direction faster than you were before and let all that other shit go. Bottom line is you want the gains, pay attention to what I'm saying here, research for yourself, and don't take what I'm saying for face value. Do the research yourself. Try to prove me wrong. I love that. BobStreetTraining@gmail.com. Leave comments down below, but don't fight. BobStreetTraining.com is a blog. It's the Prove Me Wrong bicep, and we are out.